Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. And it says recording up in that. And you can hear us on the audio. We got Joanne on the audio. Usually I got another guy that's all trained up.
I got you.
Be awesome. So let me hit this here. We'll get started. Chuck Westberry
In the house.
in the house. You're gonna end up teaching me how to arm wrestle.
Gotcha. We'll go through some first, just basic moves right off the bat.
Okay.
Number one, always look at your hand. Your hand stays in front of you no matter where your body is, because if you go outside of your arm goes outside of your body, let's say it like that, then your humerus cracks. Spiral fracture, it's gnarly. The bigger the guys, the louder it is, more torque that's on the bone. It sounds like a shotgun at tournaments. So it's
Wow.
It's gnarly. So other than that, right?
Yeah.
We got a few basic moves. So number one move that I do is called a top roll, and it's where you take the hand in the arm, and I'm gonna separate him from his body. It comes all the way out like that.
Okay.
I don't have to touch the pad. You can just break the plane of the pad. Is the goal. One or the other wins the match. But that's one move. It's a technical move. You have to be strong. Hand, wrist, forearm, lat, places to be strong. The next move is a true power move, which is a hook. Okay. So the hook is an absolute curl. You curl the person. Okay. But at the same time you curl, you're using your lat, you're dragging them across. But you can hook and press, or you can hook and drag. I'm a person, I like the drag. I like to separate the person. That's one of my things. That's because I'm a top roller. That's what I do. Another move is side pressure. Exactly what it sounds like. Straight sideways, a lot of shoulder pressure. No matter what, you're using your whole body, but side pressure is more shoulder dominant, hand control. And then there's a tricep press. If I tricep pressed you from this position, I went straight down, I have a chance of shattering your elbow. That's an illegal move in arm wrestling now. If I pushed you straight down to shove you off the back, that's illegal. So instead, we tricep press to the side. It works. It's efficient. I'm not good at it. I have a strong tricep in the gym, not on the table. It doesn't work for me. And then there's one where you can shoulder press. If you top rolled me, this is a flop-wristed shoulder press. And then I would come back and just kind of sideways, but it's still a lot of shoulder that's involved.
Cross.
4 major moves that you could twist each move into 100 different directions to make it work however you can do it, to make it good for you. Everybody's different. So I do a posting top roll, which is where my hand, I want my knuckles pointing at the ceiling, and I want to pull you completely off the pad behind me. That's what I do.
Come back that way.
But there's a half hand roll top roll. Is one way to do it. That's why there's just twists.
More and more.
Yeah.
That's where it's interesting. Like myself being, I thought like, being a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger, show up at the place, show up at your place. And it's interesting because guys like half my size literally are easily putting it to me.
Absolutely. And it's not because you're weaker than they are. They're just strong where you're weak. And they're attacking your weak area, which is probably your hand. Most people, you might have a strong hand, but a strong arm wrestling hand is different than a strong, regular, average day guy hand. Your chest is probably stronger. There's stuff that's probably stronger, but it's just a different angle, different body manipulation that makes your angle different, your body position different.
Okay. So we've been training. I was thinking it was 3, but it's already been 5 months since the beginning of the year. You got a competition coming up.
Yep. So the competition is called Mayhem and Middleburg 7. It's the 7th annual one I've thrown. It's going to be in Jacksonville, Florida at the Ramada Inn on San Jose and I-295. It's a round robin event for the open divisions, which means if there's 10 people in your weight class, you're going to arm wrestle all 10 of them. And the person with the best record wins. Now, once you go to the Masters Division, women's, teenagers, and kids, it's a double elimination tournament. If you lose twice, you're out.
Okay.
Round robin, you can lose. If there's 10 guys, you can lose 10 matches. You're never out. You're going to arm wrestle everybody before it's the person with the best record. The weight classes are 154, 176, 198, 220, 242, and the plus class, 242 plus.
Yeah.
Those are the round robin. Those are money payout. That's the pro division, open division. Money payout is 50% of the pot. So if I have 30 guys in the class, it's $30 per entry. There's $900 in the pot. Winner's going to take half of that money.
Yeah.
If you make top 2 in your weight class, there's an overall division at the end of the day.
Okay.
And we put the super heavyweight pro up there. He's going to go down through all the pros, women, and masters. The person who left standings, king of the table, he never leaves the table. He arm wrestles everybody. Person who's the last one standing gets another trophy for overall winner and another $100 at the end of the day for each hand. For each hand. So kids all get medals, and the pros get plaques and money. So it's a great tournament.
I think, especially kind of my group, whoever's on here too probably doesn't know a lot about the arm wrestling, but I think what's awesome is if anybody's wanting, there's not a novice, but still show up.
Yes.
Still be a part of the competition.
Because you're going to arm wrestle more in a round robin event than you ever would in a double elimination event.
In a double elimination.
Yeah.
So they really have the opportunity to get a lot of arm wrestling in for this one here.
Absolutely.
Plus, this is going to be, your last one was already the largest.
It's the largest in Florida ever as a regular tournament. Now, we've had Worlds in Florida and we've had a Nationals in Florida. So those were bigger, of course.
Yeah.
But for a regular regional event, listen, I'm from a little town called Middleburg, Florida. It's Mayhem and Middleburg. Next year, we're probably going to change the name to just Mayhem Arm Wrestling because we've outgrown every venue in Middleburg, and we're moving into Jacksonville this year. So it is what it is. And so, but yeah, it's so far it's been the biggest event ever in Florida, and I'm more prepared this year to streamline it and hopefully make it more efficient. That my ultimate goal is to be done by 6 o'clock. Yeah. Will that happen? Probably not, but that's the goal. And if you don't have a goal, it'll never happen.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what's awesome is I've listened to you. You're trying to cut out every little.
I've trimmed all the fat I can trim, and for instance, we are going to start every match in a referee's grip. I'm not necessarily a fan of that, me personally.
Okay.
But it's to speed the tournament up. That's the only reason I'm doing it.
Okay.
So every match is starting referee's grip, no novice. I'm running 5 tables, which is equivalent to what the national championships do. I have 13 referees. I have a lot going on that hopefully will make this a great, fast event to be as big as it's going to be.
When you say the referee grip,
yes.
What is that?
So it's a neutral grip, and we could do it a little bit. It's hard.
Probably hard to see on there, but
so the referee stands on the side. He's going to take your hands. He flattens your hands out. Make sure your webbing is equal. He makes sure that you're in the middle of the table, lined up with the pin pads. Middle this way, middle this way. Referee does that, half his job is done already.
Okay.
Then he's going to give you the most neutral grip he can give you because in arm wrestling, it's all about advantage. Everything we do, it's millimeters are advantages of hand position. But in a referee's grip, it's absolutely a neutral grip. So he'll say thumbs down.
Okay.
And then he's going to ask you, do you want to be high or low on your thumb? High means you're going to cap your thumb. Low means that you're not capping your thumb.
Okay.
Everybody has a preference. I always go high in a rest grip. I always do. So he's going to take your hand. You are not allowed to move in a rest grip.
Okay.
In this position, he's going to tell you, if you move, I'm going to foul you. So if you do this, it's a foul. If you set your hand down, it's a foul. You get 2 fouls before you're out.
Okay.
I am going to give a little leeway since every match starts in the rest grip. We'll warn you once. But once we're halfway through the tournament, there's no more warnings because everybody should know. So from here, he's going to say, do you want your thumb wrap? Do you want your thumb wrap?
Yeah.
Yes. So he's going to take your hand. He's going to set your hand in place. Then he's going to ask me the same thing. Boom. Then he's going to say, he's going to make sure we're lined up one more time. I'm going to start you. Actually, you don't even say I'm going to start you. It's ready, space, go. Ready, go.
Yeah.
I'm slow, so I try to hit on the Y and ready. Ready, and then I'm already engaging because by the time the message gets from my brain to my arm, goes coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
So that's the whole plan. And it should knock 30 seconds off a match. In reality, with all these round robins, I'm thinking over thousands of matches. So 30 seconds on thousands of matches, we should shave an hour off doing this.
An hour.
So,
Well, that is awesome there. I want to ask before we sit down, everybody knows arm wrestling, and it's about the movie Over the Top. So
That's
what do you
the
know?
Mecca. Over the Top is the Mecca ever of arm wrestling. But there is other movies in arm wrestling too. There was a big one called Pulling John about 10 years ago that was about Travis Badgett from Virginia and Alexei Vovoda from Russia, and they were after the crown, John Brzezinski. And John Brzezinski is the Michael Jordan of arm wrestling. He's the best ever, those guys are they're up there, right? All three of those guys I just named are the best ever.
The best.
John just has the name. John won the movie Over the Top. Sean did all that stuff.
Okay.
When John won Over the Top, I don't know what he weighed, but I'm guessing 185 to 195. He beat those monsters that were 30 plus, and he won the semi, and John won all that stuff. And he's the guy everybody looks at because he's the giant killer. It's amazing what he did in his day. He's 10 years older than me. I'm turning 50, so he's got to be 61, 2, and he's still the man. He's not what he was. Who is?
Yeah.
But it's still incredible what he can still do on the table today. But he's absolutely not as active as he used to be.
Yeah.
But he still pops up. He still does that stuff. But I went and seen the movie in the 80s. I was probably 12 years old. And then my first tournament I went to was a national championship in Atlanta, Georgia in 2001. And I met about 5 guys that were in the movie. And when I started Arm Wrestling Pro, I probably arm wrestled a dozen of the guys that were in the movie, which is awesome. It's awesome. I mean, me being when I was born and getting to see that movie when it was at the movies, that was the only movie ever made in Hollywood about arm wrestling, right? The other movies are more documentary style. That was the Hollywood, Sylvester Stallone. But it's awesome. It's just great stuff.
And then go and see those guys and be.
I love the movie. It wasn't the best story in the world, but it's a absolute arm wrestling movie for sure. So.
Yeah. That's huge. Cool. Well, I had to ask. I loved that movie from when I was a kid, and then now being in this now, I feel like, man, I just want to turn my hat on backwards.
Absolutely. Well, you can try it right now if you want to while we're here. If you want to try it one time.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay. Everything that I've ever learned
that's
so
right.
far.
So knuckles up.
Yeah.
Yep. Good. Ready, go. Almost, but you're going too far off the table.
Okay.
So.
It's close. It's close.
But if you've seen it, I mean, as soon as you've seen it, and I told you, you adjusted.
Yep.
Because the second you separate, you just got weaker. Everything you do needs to be here because this is strong.
Okay.
If your arm comes out 2 inches, you just got weaker. If your body goes back 2 inches, you just got weaker. But if you train your body to be in tight, everything's so tight, you want to bring that guy across the table. The goal is not for me to pull you here. The goal is for me to snatch you to the wall behind me and me stay here the whole time. Just boom. So it completely separates you. It makes my lat against your bicep, which is a huge, huge advantage.
Well, I just want the others on whoever this reaches, if they're a novice, come out and do this at the Ramada Inn.
Yep, at the
June
Ramada,
8th.
and we train at my house every Thursday too. It's just free, right? So free, you just show up. The only thing I ask of you is check your ego at the door. I have kids. It's family friendly. Listen, there is always language. It is what it is, but overall, we try to make it a good time, and we all teach each other. It is what it is.
Yeah, that's huge. Can we sit down and talk just for a
Absolutely.
little bit more?
Yes.
Cool. Make sure I'm gonna move this. We still got Joanne on audio. There's that. There. Good. Let me still make sure. Beautiful. Look at that. Still recording.
That's a great thing.
That's awesome. And good. So, Chuck, I want to ask you, man, like you were saying, just kind of keeping the ego, checking the ego at the door. I mean, it's arm wrestling, man.
Yes. No, it's not always easy, but we do it. We all keep each other in check, and listen, everybody loses their temper sometimes, but overall, it's just words, and we all cool each other off. And I've grabbed guys on my team and said, all right, let's walk outside for a minute and drink your water or drink a beer. I mean, let's just settle down and it usually happens in a minute. I've been there. I've done it at tournaments. I know I've had to have my sister grab me and like, you need to shut your mouth for a second. And then I cool off and we're all good again. But that's, like you said, the warrior mentality. It is what it is. And if it's in you or it isn't, it's fight or flight. And that's not everybody's built the same way. But most of us who arm wrestle are alpha males. And we put that off. And when you are whooped or treated like you're a punk, you don't want that to happen. And so you gotta figure something out. But that's why we are here. Believe me, I've been whooped many times now, and it doesn't leave a good taste in my mouth. And so then you have to set your goals to make it better. Yeah.
That's good. So let's see, how long you been in arm wrestling?
So I went to my first arm wrestling practice when I was 15 years old. My mom took me to the first practice because they were doing tournaments at the Jacksonville Fair. Showed up there at 15, I was 255, 260, played football, was big and strong, and I had a 130-pound guy just wax me like I was a kid, and I was a kid. But I was strong. I was benching in the threes and doing all this stuff, and but that guy knew how to arm wrestle. He was a national champion arm wrestler, and he shut me down. And so that was my first practice. And I did several practices then. But at the same time, I was playing football, and I had a job, and I went to school, and arm wrestling was not a priority. So drifted away from that. And then I met a guy in a gym when I was 25 years old, and ended up being the cousin of a guy I played football with, and he was a state champion arm wrestler. So he told me to come to practice. When I went to practice at 25, this is 10 years later from my first practice, it was like half the same guys. And then I blended right in, and I've stayed ever since. So from first practice, I'm 34 years in.
Yeah.
From the time I really started, I'm 25 years.
25.
Yeah, so steady 25 years, which is, I'm not saying I'm smart for doing that, because most people's longevity in the sport is 5 to 10 years, and they're in and out. It's because they start families or they do whatever. Well, my family is highly involved.
Yeah.
I trained my sister and her best friend and my daughters, and it's kept me in it this long. And now I have a grandson, and he's only 5 months old, but hopefully he'll do it too, and I'll train him too. And I arm wrestle mainly in my age groups these days. Okay. I still do the pro division just because the ego. We go back to ego again. Probably shouldn't, but I do it. And but it is what it is, and I can hold my own for the most part. So it makes me feel good when I go to bed at night.
Yeah. No, as we get older, it's like, come on, like.
Yep.
Where am I at in all of that? So you said, talking about like the warrior part, like what's your, like this warrior, you got to have like, when I say like a warrior story, what warrior story you got?
So for me, my best warrior heart story, just so you got heart, that you can do it, and I do it, and I did it, and it is the best story I have. Is I arm wrestled at Florida State's 12 to 15 years ago. It was my second. I'm returning champion at the state champion. I was returning champion, and grabbed the first guy of the day, my first draw, and his name was Buddy Griffiths. And me and him were rivals at the time. Over the 30 years, I've probably had 30 rivals, right? I mean, every couple of years, there's always a new guy who challenges you and makes you work harder.
Okay.
At this time, it was Buddy Griffiths. Griffith's dad was an arm wrestler, so he's his second generation arm wrestler. His sister was an arm wrestler. He was pretty good, but he had taken 10 years off, and now he's making his run again. Well, arm wrestling the first match, and something popped in my hand, and I wasn't sure what it was. So I go over to my cousin, who's an oncologist, and I noticed my knuckle was missing in my hand. It had just kind of flattened out. So I go to my cousin, and because he is a doctor, and I was like, "What do you think?" And he's like, all he could say was, "Yeah, that's not good." And so I told him to pop it back in place. I think I just dislocated it. Pop it back. So he grabbed my finger, bam.
Yeah.
I said, "It still ain't there." And he's a 200-pound guy. I mean, I said, "Man, you got to snatch it." So when he snatched it the second time, the bone lined up, which pushed my knuckle back out into my hand. And I said, "Okay, I'm in. Let's do it again."
Yeah.
So he called me for the next guy, and arm wrestle the next guy, and I seen my knuckle fall in my hand again. So I knew something wasn't good, but I was returning champion, and I had a target on my back. Everybody was there to beat me. And I was peaking at this time. So I was 38 to 42 was my best years I had. And my wife is in my one ear, my mother's in my other ear, and they're telling me, you probably need to go to the hospital. I was like, I'll go to the hospital when I'm done. I came here for a reason. I am not leaving
Not
right
considering
now.
at all.
And I beat 8 more people with a broke hand. Then I had Buddy Griffiths at the end of the day. He's undefeated, and he's the only guy I lost to. And I only lost because I knew something popped in my hand. I gave up because I wasn't sure what was going on. So I beat Buddy 2 more times, and I won the state championship. Well, the second they called the match, because my eyes were closed, my hand's in a lot of pain. Put it in my. They said I just brought my elbow straight back, and my hand was on top. So they said match. I said, did I win? He said yes. I went and got my truck immediately and left. Went to the hospital. They actually gave me an EKG because my heart rate was crazy, and they were like.
Adrenaline through the roof.
Yeah, and that's what I told him. I said, listen, I've been arm wrestling for 2 hours with a broke hand, and I've been training, hollering for my team for 3 hours. So let me settle down, and I'll be all right.
Yeah.
In an hour, I settled down, and they let me go. But they already ran the EKG. He's like, do you want painkillers? I said, no, because I'm going to drink a beer. This is where I'm at today. Fun. I won the state championship with a broke hand. I said, you're going to need surgery in 2 days. And so then I have a metal plate with 6 screws in my hand that when it rains and then it's cold, I feel it, but it's part of it now. It's part of it. But that's my big time story that I don't think I was smart doing what I did, but you couldn't have paid me to do anything different that day either.
That's good. Hey, can you got your whole arm like you're the warrior dude.
Yes, all warrior tattoos, because that is, like you said, this is what we do. So I have samurai, I have Odin, Viking warrior. I have the knight, the English knight. I have a Spartan, and I have a silverback gorilla on my back. And he's the jungle warrior. I'm a silverback gorilla guy. I have gorilla flags. I have all this stuff at my house. So
okay.
It's my thing. It's when I had some kid tattoos on me, like just stupid that I should have never got. And when I finally had enough money to do it right, I came up with the warrior theme, and we picked out the warriors I wanted. And I have a female Viking too, right there, about Valkyrie. So so it's awesome good stuff. Yeah, it's good stuff. It's a good theme. Yeah. And I've done it all my whole life. I played football, powerlifted, arm wrestled, and it's for men, and that's what you get off on, right? It's a man, that sort of thing. And I'm learning to slow that down a little bit as I get older, but at 30, you couldn't have taught me no different. Yeah. So
I think what's so funny again is that warrior mindset and the competing and doing all this, but when we go to your house, it is, and you mentioned leave the ego at the door, but you show up at your house and on the table, you can be intense, but everything around there is super chill,
absolutely
family oriented, community oriented. Like everything is inviting for people just to hang out, to learn.
I think that's just my upbringing. My parents would feed you if you came over at dinner time, and that's what we do. So for a long time, I picked up some young boys in Mandarin on my way home from work. Mm-hmm. They were my friends' kids, right? I would pick up 3 of them. So my wife knew to make a big pot of spaghetti that night, every Thursday night, because she fed these 3 18, 17, 16-year-old boys and a lot of pasta because it filled them up. And then my sister would drive them home because she lived back over there. So I'd pick them up, we'd feed them. And but no, that's what we do. It is very inviting. I could be the bad guy, right? But the bad guy still has nothing to do with that. The bad guy to me is just the guy who plays the bad guy in the competition. But everyday life, this is who we are. And we do invite everybody. My neighbors come over and just sit at the picnic table while I have 30 guys at my house arm wrestling. Because that's what they want to do. They just want to be part of it, and it's all fun. And everybody is inviting. Even the people who drive an hour to get there, they're welcoming me into their family. Like I had a guy last week who brought his 4 kids. I never met them, and but they come over and they play on the tree that's out in the yard or whatever. It's all good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, there's 20, 30 guys there, and I do everything with my family. If I'm in a
Yes.
sport, it's just what we do, and so we're family oriented like that. But then bringing my whole family there, I mean, I'm there trying to learn how to arm wrestle. Then you got my 17-year-old daughter that's arm wrestling, my wife that's arm wrestling, my daughter, and then I got my 9-year-old that she's over there arm wrestling, and
Right.
everybody's teaching, and just like it's
Which
just
at
crazy.
Mayhem and Middleburg, we have a kids division. So I had 4 and 5-year-olds were my youngest last year that did it.
Yeah.
I mean, if a 3-year-old can do it, I'll let him get up there and do it too. You know, it's all fun stuff. And I give their first through third gets silver, gold, and bronze. But
Okay.
then there's also a participant medal. I buy like 20 of them. I've never had them. I hope I have enough for all the kids. I'll give
Yeah,
them participant
that's
medal.
awesome.
But you know, it is what it is. But yeah, my wife and my daughters have been part of it their whole life. And my sister, now her kids arm wrestle in my tournament, and they're 9 and 6 years old. And to me, this is I know I have built a legacy in arm wrestling. I know between me and my sister, Westberry is a name in the arm wrestling world now. I mean, 30 years later, she had way more titles than I did in the women's division, but
Yeah.
just the longevity of what I've done is a big deal. And now my daughters have done it, and they're world level. When they arm wrestled, if they want to keep doing it, they could absolutely be there too.
Yeah.
And now I have a grandson, and hopefully he'll be part of that one day too. You know, so
That yeah, I think it's awesome. Again, I don't know that much about the arm wrestling, but the more I'm digging in already, I see like it's definitely growing,
yes,
getting more and more popular. And what's interesting is I'm already hearing, yes, you are a name within the arm wrestling, and you're a person that brings those that are divided.
sure.
You bring those communities together, which was awesome to hear.
Yeah. I mean, that's just back to being the welcoming people, right? I mean, everybody's welcome. Everybody's got ego. Every arm wrestler in the world has got an ego. I say check it at the door just because there is girls there. My 13-year-old daughter beat half the guys the day they started. My sister, I used to make my sister do it too. So that's checking the ego because some guys, that hurts their feelings. They can't handle a young girl beating them.
Yeah.
But I'm like, she's a world champion young girl. I mean, she's not your average, ordinary stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the community wise though, I mean, that's just part of it. I invite everybody to my house every Thursday. Everybody's welcome. The arm wrestling, then we go to the gym and we power lift on Sundays, and everybody's welcome to do that with us. And I can't do it because my shoulders are hurt, but I break for them and I help coach them and I help do this stuff. You know, it's
Yeah.
whatever we can do, we do it just because we can. It's not. There's no other reason. We just can, and there's no reason not to.
Yeah.
So we try.
That it's good. I'm gonna ask you we're like I like being a community like of action.
Yes.
And so I know that you are a man of action as well, just within our community,
Sure.
serving. Can you just kind of share
Yeah,
what that
I mean,
looks like
listen,
for you?
I know. I guess it's hard to put in words because I don't. It's not something I brag about. I just do stuff.
Yeah.
For instance, the powerlifting, the arm wrestling. Everybody's welcome. Everybody does that stuff. The gym, I help the guys at the gym do all kind of stuff. I have a kid I work out with. His name is Grayson Pacifico. I was a soccer coach for him and his sister. His single mom, had a single mom. He had brain cancer, and then he was in remission. He wanted to start working out. So I've been working out with Grayson now for over a year, at least 2 or 3 days a week, just because I can. It goes back to me. It's not that I'm doing anything special. Like I would love to work out with my daughters, but they don't want to work out. Grayson wanted to work out, so he called me. He reached out, and I'm anything I can do to help. I'm here to help. Whatever it is, whatever the subject. If I can help you read Romeo and Juliet, I'll help you do it. You wouldn't want to know my take on that, but it's. If you want my opinion, I'll give you an opinion. It's just not I'm not an English lit guy, you know. But I have read it. I've watched the movie. I've done what you know. But it's just not my forte, you know. So, but no, we do whatever we can do, and it goes back to my dad, even helping the neighbors do whatever they do, or helping the old people cut their grass or paint their house, or he's always done that, and I've kind of turned into that. You know, I have single older ladies that live around me, and I help them do all kind of things, whether it's change their toilet or change their lawnmower blades or just take them to do something, you know. So we do whatever we can do because we can, not because we have to.
Yeah.
Right? So
I think it's awesome to see. I think in this day and age with men, have to be serving. So I appreciate seeing you do that. Same like here, I just want people, if they're willing to show up and do that, man.
That means everything.
Dude,
that means everything. You know, if you should, I tell everybody at my arm wrestling practices, if you want to be a champion arm wrestler, you can absolutely get that at my tournament or my practice. If you want to be the best liar and bullcrapper around, you can be that too. I mean, you can get whatever you want out of it, but you got to put in the time. You tell me, hey, I want to train. I'm going to tell you some stuff to do, and I'm going to work with you every week, and we'll figure that out.
Work on it.
But it's up to you to want it enough. Like for me, what I want, I have goals for everything. So my goals are always to beat the guy who beat me last. I don't necessarily want to win the tournament anymore. I used to want to go and win the trophy at the end.
Yeah.
Trophies don't do it for me. I'm not a trophy chaser. But if you whip my butt, I want to go after you. That's what it's all about to me. I'll arm wrestle just one person. I just want to, and he might whip me 35 times, but sooner or later, I'm going to work hard enough. To make it happen. So
that's going to be setting my goal then. Like for this, we're 3 weeks out. So getting ready for this will be my first comp.
Yes.
Do round robin, hit that as many times as I can, learn what I can. And then we got the event that is going to be awesome in September 21st.
Yes.
At Mike Moody's place.
Yes.
And so, and then whoever beats me at that one, then I'll shoot to beat them at
our age.
September.
That's what it's all about. Because for one, if you arm wrestle in the open division, you're arm wrestling the young guys, you know, and I've been a super heavyweight my whole life, so it's big young guys. You're 220, that's a linebacker, right?
Yeah.
I've had these guys come in who are straight out of college football, and they're jacked. It don't mean they can arm wrestle.
Yeah.
But you just look at him and you're like, yeah, he might be a handful today.
No, maybe.
It might be a handful. So.
Yeah. That's what's funny. That's what makes me check my ego as well. It's like hearing like, oh man, it's like I'm getting up there, like, I get beat, and they're like, oh, you're strong.
Yeah.
You're strong. It's like, oh, that's cute. Like,
being strong is a start, because some people start and they're not strong. Right?
Yeah.
And you can't just tell them. I've had to tell some people, you're just not strong enough yet. You've got to work at the weights, you know. And my coaches told me that. They told me I was strong, but my hand was weak. Well, here I was, 330 pounds and ego driven as can be. And I'm like, you can't tell me I'm weak.
My hand's weak,
right?
Yeah.
But for arm wrestling, it was really weak, because arm wrestling strength is like gorilla strength. You know, it's just different than the average Joe strength.
Okay.
Now you can get a hard-working guy who works with his hands, a mechanic, a crabber, a concrete guy. Their hands are usually, they might be strong in their arm or weak in their arm or back or something, but usually their hands are up there. You're like, oh yeah, your hand's really good, but you got to work on this. Okay. There's always something.
So we need to name that again. Who are we looking for? Crabbers, concrete guys.
The crabbers that pull them ropes. So the crab
dude, I got a guy.
Yeah.
I remember shaking his hand right now. I want to call him up and be like, hey, dude, you need to be an arm wrestler.
Crabbers have been good ones. Yeah.
Really?
Flooring guys, concrete guys, and mechanics.
Dang. Man, we could get our team going.
Yeah, listen, there's already 50. There's we always add, though.
Well, that's what's so funny. Even you are trying to always get people in, man, which I love, into the community. But you're always, that's how like I ended up even finding out about you is my wife and kid were at the gym, and you ended up saying, hey, go to arm wrestling, because my wife, I mean, is kind of jacked.
She's got muscle, and your daughter's a world level weightlifter. So I was like, absolutely. For sure. And then your wife met my daughter and said, maybe this isn't for me. But
your daughters are strong.
Yes, they are. I just wish they cared.
It's so crazy. But I love it, man. So you talked about, I think it's so funny. You're a big dude. You've been doing this a long time. What's your perspective? You've been doing 30 years. What's your perspective on like how has that shifted? Like, you know, the ego part and seeing how that happens, and then growing older, and then seeing it with inside yourself, and then others, and just what you think?
For me, I mean, things have absolutely changed for me, because I used to only lift heavy weights and only try to rip people's arm off and do. I mean, and at one time I probably would have hurt somebody, but I would have arm wrestled and ripped my own arm off to win the match. where there's no way I would do that now. If I'm in any compromising position now, I stop.
Just no.
Hug your neck. Hey, you're good today, and I'll walk away. Where when I broke my hand, I kept arm wrestling. Right? It's you learn, and you have to. It's just age. But I know guys my age who still think that way.
Yeah.
That's how I've changed. I still want to sting the person arm. I don't want to rip their arm off. Like, I don't want them to have surgery. I don't want them to be hurt, because we're all men who have to make a living and do all this stuff. But
go work.
But I want to hit them so hard that they sting, and they might not be able to arm wrestle no more that day. Don't mean the next day that they hurt at all. I just want them to say, "Wow, that Chuck was really strong. Really,
he hit me hard.
Yeah, he hit me really, really hard. Like, I've been hit so hard before. Actually, my sister hit me so hard one time. She hit like a nerve in my arm, and my eyebrow just started jumping. And she's like, "Are you all right?" I'm like, I don't know. I felt it. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what just happened. And here she's a woman.
Yeah.
But she was a world level woman.
She's world level. Yeah.
So it was different. But yeah, it makes you think about everything. But yeah, that's the way I've changed. Everybody's rap different. Everybody does it different. But injuries have slowed me down and make me think more.
Yeah.
Even though I'm still doing it. All right. I'm getting an MRI in the morning. I won't be arm wrestling at my tournament. But the plan is probably to arm wrestle by the end of the year, So well, cool. I'm not done, but I'm not washed up yet either. So.
I think it's interesting. Like, I've had my fair share of injuries, a lot. Like, ended up literally like in the hospital, right? And so now it's like being able to show up. If I show up and then find out what I'm capable of today, then I'm pretty happy. And then trying to just progress from there.
Absolutely,
right?
That's how me and you have talked, and I think if you can be better than you was yesterday, it could be a millimeter, it could be 1 rep more, it could be 1 step more, it could be anything more.
Yeah.
It means a lot. I'm not trying to be stronger than I was when I was 28, but I am trying to be stronger than I was yesterday. Yeah. And that's just how.
And you got all that technique and experience.
Yeah, I mean, it helps. Listen, it all helps. I know a lot of stuff about, like, I can tell now, as soon as you grab me, I usually know which way you're going. I know all that stuff, but I pull these pro level guys now, and I'm not hanging the way I used to. I still might be able to pull out a top 3 sometimes. Yeah. But I need to get completely healthy before I even think about further into all that stuff again.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. So I don't want to keep you too long. Can you share with us again, Middleburg, the Mayhem?
Yes,
Mayhem Center.
Mayhem and Middleburg, June 8th. The Ramada Inn on San Jose at I-295, same building that the Comedy Zone is in. Weigh-ins are the night before. I'm going to have four places in Florida, all over the state, that do early weigh-ins. I will be doing early weigh-ins there. Okay. And then I'll be doing weigh-ins again that morning from 7 to 10 a.m. From 10 to 11, we shut down to put the brackets in the computer. 11 o'clock, 10:45, we say a prayer. We do the national anthem. We go over all the rules. By 11, we start on the dot, and we're going to roll until it's over. And the goal is 6-7 hours. If we do it right, we'll be done by then. If things happen, we got it. It's like any business. You adjust on the fly all day long to make things work.
It'll work. I'm looking forward. I'm going to have my whole family in it.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely. It's all good stuff.
But I want to thank you for doing what you do in the community. I think it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, sir.
And just helping people be connected and community and just everything. Yep. And but thank you for as well raising money for Warriors Peace.
Yes.
The partnership that I love is veterans and community, serving veterans and community.
Absolutely. And so, I think it's great. I'm on board with what you do, and we're going to do what we can do to help your drive and do that thing. So it's all good stuff.
I appreciate it, because you raising the money like that ends up, I'm not out there chasing and trying to chase after money. I get to serve where I know that God has me.
Yes.
And so right here in the trenches, man.
Absolutely.
And so Thank you for doing what you love for so long and being able to raise money for what we do. And I think, again, the greatest partnership to have is like, I'm a veteran and I hate playing. They've got this thing drummed up, this victim part. And I think, us as military veterans are victors.
Yes.
And so if we can kind of get rid of the victim part and having them step into the victor part, it's amazing. And
Absolutely.
so amazing patriots like yourself, helping us when we need help. And then those veterans, man, when they're better, watching them come back and then serve and being involved in community is
Yeah,
amazing.
just like you say, you help community too. So it's like you help until they can help the next person. And that's what makes the world go round.
Yeah. Dude, thank you for your heart.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate y'all too.
Thank you. Love you, Chuck.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, man.